Hi, this is Jesse, and in this video, I'll be continuing my demonstration for my CakeShop API project. And in this week, we shall be implementing authentication using OAuth with GitHub. And of course, we shall perform the CRUD operations and the data validation plus the error handling. So this is my project on GitHub, and we can see this is my .gitignore file, which contains my sensitive information, that is the node modules and the .env file, and they are not committed to GitHub. That means I'm following the best security practices. So if we go to my deployed version on render of my API here, you can be able to open it up in a new tab, and we can see that it is still running very well. And then if I go to my documentation on Swagger, we can be able to test out our endpoints for the API. So we have two collections here. We have the cakes collection and we have the orders collection. And since we implemented authentication, we can not access some of our endpoints without authenticating ourselves or without logging in. So we can access all the get endpoints without logging in, but for post, put, and delete, we have to authenticate ourselves or we have to log in. So we shall demonstrate that by trying to retrieve all the cakes in the database. We can see that we can easily do that. We have two cakes here in the database, and we can do that without logging in. The same thing applies to the orders. We can retrieve all orders in a database without logging in. We have two of them here. And then now we are going to see if we can create a new cake without logging in. So we click try it out. We have this information already here for us, and we shall try to create a new cake without logging in. So what does the API tell us? It tells us we must be logged in to access that endpoint or for us to be able to create a new cake, and it gives us a status code of 401 indicating we are unauthorized to perform that operation. So it requires us to be logged in order for us to do that. And then the same thing applies if we try to create a new order. We shall still be told to log in before we perform that operation. Status code of 401. So we are going to go ahead and log in. We shall just need to open up a new tab here and add a login here, a login path there, and shall be redirected to tab, and then they'll ask for our credentials. We sign in and we are redirected back to our API there. So since we are now logged in, let's try to create a new cake. And if I just go to my post endpoint, this is the information already using, and then click execute. Status code of 201, it returns the object ID here, and it shows that it was created successfully. And if we go to our database here, we can confirm that um, we must now have three cakes in our database. That shows that the database has been updated successfully. So that is the third one, the chocolate fudge cake. So it has been added successfully. So let's try to update this cake. Let's update its information. You just need to paste in its object ID here, maybe change the size to 3 kilograms, and let's change the stock to 14. So I click execute and just loads a little bit. Let's go to our database and see if it was updated successfully. Just go back here, try to refresh it, and we should have uh, our cake here having a size of now 3 kilograms and the stock of 14. So it works perfectly. And we got a status code of 200, meaning it was updated successfully. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to delete this cake from the database, and we click execute here, and boom, status code 204 with no content indicating it was deleted successfully. We go back and confirm with our database here, the MongoDB Atlas. So we should be back to two cakes here. So those endpoints work well. And then let's try to do some for the orders. So let's try to create a new order here. We have the information already provided there for us in the documentation so that we don't have to waste time creating a new one. So status code 201 returns the object ID here, meaning it was created successfully and it works well. So we can still go to our database and check our orders and see if we have a third order, because we had two initially. So yes, we now have the third one for Jesse to see me there, and it works well. So let's try to update this order. We click try it out and then paste in our object ID here, and then let's maybe update the quantity to 3 and maybe the price to 180,000, and we just click execute here, and status code 200, we have the cake there created and it was updated successfully. Then the last thing I want us to do is for us to delete this cake from the database. We paste in its object ID and click execute. We get a status code of 204 with no content, indicating it was deleted successfully. We can confirm that from our orders collection here in the database that we are now back to 2 orders. So that goes on to show that it works very well, and all the requests are reaching the database very well. So the next thing I want to demonstrate is the data validation. We can all the requests coming to the database have to be validated before they even reach the database. So for example, we try to create a new cake here. While we have left out some fields, it will not allow us to do that. Let's say, for example, we left out the cake name, and we try to create a new cake. It says that the cake name is required and it gives us a status code of 400, so it validates our data before it reaches the database. Next thing I want to demonstrate is the error handling. So let's say, for example, we want to create a new order here, and we don't have the correct object ID. It will not allow us to do that. So let's say we put in a wrong object ID like that, and we try to execute that order. It will just tell us that it is a failed or it's an invalid object ID. So we use try and catch blocks in this case, and we return meaningful messages with the appropriate status code. And that's my project for this week. Thanks for watching.